Hello, welcome. Thank you so much for being here. Today's practice is about embodiment and about how we stay embodied within ourselves and within a space of integrity as we move through challenge, as we move through transition, as well as in moments where we feel inertia. So this practice today will be kind of action-packed. We'll do a lot of movement. We'll do a lot of stabilizing movement. And you can really assess through some of these actions whether you need to kind of rev up your energy. If you're feeling like you're dragging a little bit, dragging in your heels, a little bit lethargic, you might play with challenging that and moving a bit faster and trying to get some of that energy flowing. If you're on the other end of that spectrum and you're reaching a point of burnout, or if your inertia feels like it's come from burnout, you might choose to slow this practice down a bit, be a little bit more steady with yourself, take more breaks, and allow yourself to be a little cooler in your transition. There's no right or wrong way to do it. It's just a set of tools that you can use to regulate yourself, to bring yourself up when you're feeling down, to bring yourself back down when you're feeling a little bit too up in the air. We'll begin on our backs today. Grab a couple blocks and a blanket. You can set yourself up with that. We'll only need a block as we come down onto the ground for now. You can move everything else out of your way. Arrive on your back in a constructive rest pose with your knees bent, feet flat to the floor. And take your hands together, rub your palms. Soften your eyelids closed if that's comfortable for you, or just finding a place on the ceiling to hold your gaze. Then rest your right hand over your chest, your left hand over your low belly. Take a big breath, expanding into your hands as you inhale, filling up to your fullest capacity. And then exhale a sigh out through your mouth. Follow the flow of air with your mind as it comes in through your nostrils, expands into the front of your body, expanding your body into your hands, expanding your back body into the floor so that you're opening in all directions. Exhaling out through your mouth. Feeling that expansion of front and back of body, and then taking the breath side to side, and exhaling out through your mouth. Release your hands to the floor. Rock your tail towards the ground. Take an inhale, expanding the front of your body. So you create this space between your low back and the ground. And then as you exhale, curl your tail up towards the back of your knees. Draw your belly to your back. Inhale, rocking, opening the space from your pubic bones to your sternum. Exhale, drawing those points towards each other. Take 3 more breaths like that. Finding space and opening as you inhale. Finding a contraction and engagement into yourself as you exhale. Find neutral in your pelvis. A little bit of lightness in your low back, maybe even a space, but you're not overarching and you're not pressing your low back into the floor. Hover your knees over your hips, cup your knees with your hands, and begin to press your knees into your fingertips. Your arms extend out straight. You might even feel a little bit of a lift in the sides of your shoulders. Take your breath now laterally into the sides of the ribs, expanding across your back body. And then as you exhale, bend your elbows and hug your legs to your body. Inhale, pressing the knees away. You might find a little bit of that lift of the low back, the tilt of your pelvis. Exhale, pulling knees into your body. Same action in the hips, just adding a little bit of a different element onto it. Inhaling and exhaling. Last time, breathing in and breathing out. Take your hands to the back of your legs now. Extend and bend your legs. And bend your knees and set your feet to the floor. Feel your feet on the ground. Press your feet into the floor. And now try and press your feet away from you. Notice how that naturally rolls your tail up towards the back of your knees. Now try and pull your heels towards you. Feel how that creates that tilt of your pelvis arching the spine. Do that a couple times. Pull your heels towards you. Feel the tilt of the lower back, tailbone dropping towards the ground. This time as you exhale, press your feet away from you. So you have to curl your tail up towards the back of your knees. Push your feet into the floor, rise up into a bridge. Pause here, take a breath in. And then as you exhale, start to pull your heels towards you, slowly roll yourself down. Keep pulling your heels towards your body, set your hips down, keep that action of heels pulling in, arch your spine again, inhale. And exhale, press your feet away, slowly curl yourself up. Hold there, taking a breath in. On your exhale, pull your heels back to your body, slowly roll yourself back down again. Take your time articulating your way down, land hips to the ground, tilt your tail again, arch your spine, breathing in, pushing your feet away, breathing out. Just noticing through the effort of the feet what naturally happens with your hips. You're just following along that natural pattern. With your exhale, pulling your heels back, slowly rolling yourself down. Once your hips land, if you just keep pulling your heels back, naturally your tailbone's going to tip down. Last time. And this time I'm coming back into a neutral pelvis, full breath in and full breath out. Bring your knees over your hips, set your block in front of your knees. And then you can either just do your hands here on the block, pressing your hands into the block as you hug your legs towards your body and create that little bit of resistance to hold the block in place. If that feels okay, curl yourself up, elbows into the block. Hands can just be here in the air. You might be able to cup the back of your head and help support your neck. If this is not good for your neck, just keep the back of your head down. Now try and pull your legs to your body. As you pull your legs to your body, press your elbows into the block. Stay there. Draw your belly to your back. Try and find a neutral pelvis as best as you can. So there's a little bit of lightness in your low back. It's not pushing into the ground, but you're not overarching. Keep the engagement in the belly. Take your breath now into the sides and the back of your ribs. With each exhale, re-engaging belly to back, holding that stability as you inhale, widen across your back. Last 3 breaths here. With your exhale, set your head to the ground, set your feet to the floor. Rest your block on the front of your body. Turn your palms to face up. Take your breath into the block. Inhaling, lifting the block towards the ceiling. And exhale, letting the weight of the block sink back into you. Bring your right leg over your hip. Bring your block just in front of the right leg. Take your left leg up in the air and then lower it about 1/4 of the way down. And again, you can just stay here, pressing your hand and leg into the block, reaching through that left leg. Or you can curl yourself up, take your left arm and extend it. Similar to what we did before, just on the right side, feel that engagement of drawing in and then reach out through everything else. From that engagement, extend it through the left leg, reach through the left arm. And then slowly release. Set your block on your belly, rest your hands, breathe into the block. Just noticing those moments of exertion, of heat rising. Just taking it in small bursts so that you can come back to middle, recollect your breath. Notice if you felt challenged by it, if you could push through that challenge a little bit, or if it's better for you to back out. Left side, left knee over the hip, either hand to the block or elbow to the block. Take the right leg down about 1/4 of the way, reach through the right hand. And then feel this dual action of drawing in on one side, extending out on the other. Draw your belly to your back. Find neutral in your pelvis. Move your breath right to left, along the diaphragm, along the rib cage. Release. Set your feet to the floor, lock just off to the side this time. Press down through your feet. Lift your hips, interlace your fingers underneath you. Come into a bridge. And then start to pull your heels towards your body this time. Press your feet into the floor, lift your hips a little higher. Switch the interlace of your fingers. And release your hips slowly to the ground. This time landing, back of the hips down, maintain that space of the low back so you're still in a neutral pelvis. Knees together, feet a little bit wider than your hips. Move your arms away from your body. And then rock your knees from side to side. Turn your head left as your knees move to the right. Turn your head right as your knees move to the left. Point your knees up again, set your feet about hips distance. This time, draw your right knee into your chest. Take your hands to the back of your right leg, extend and bend the leg. Extend your right leg up towards the ceiling, point and flex your foot. Circle your ankle. And then the other direction. And then flex through your ankle, reach up through your heel, press your thigh into your hands. Use your hands to plug your thigh into your leg. You could keep this left leg bent, or you might extend the leg all the way down the mat. Either way, find some activity in this leg. So press down through the foot, either the sole of the foot or the back of the heel, depending on the position of the leg. And then try and pull your heel back towards your sitting bone. Keep that engagement. If it's enough to hold the leg, stay there, or you'll hook your thumbs and extend your arms overhead, reaching out from your fingertips to your foot in all directions. And so if you feel yourself in this middle space, the center of your body, where we've just worked on all of that engagement, draw in, right? From the extremities, pull into that middle space. Plug your thighs into your hips, plug your arms into your shoulders. And so almost like you're trying to contract yourself into your center. And then keep that sense of integrity and engagement, reach back out. Reach through your fingertips, reach through your feet. From here, pivot your right toes out about 45 degrees. So you feel this rotation of your right thigh in your hip. And then start to lower your right leg just about a quarter of the way down. Keep reaching out through the foot, plug back down through your left side. Don't worry about getting that leg to the ground, and then come back up. Bend your knee. Take your left hand to your right knee, cross your leg over the body, twist, look out over your right shoulder. And then set your right foot to the floor. Pull your left knee in. Take your hands to the back of your left thigh, extend and bend the leg. Re-extend your left leg, point and flex your foot. Circle your ankle. And then the other direction. Flex your ankle so sole of the foot is pointing up towards the ceiling. Reach through the foot as you plug your thigh in. And then you might extend your right leg. Press down lightly through your right foot. Pull back with your foot so that you engage the back of the leg. And then decide you can stay here, or you can hook your thumbs, extending your arms alongside your ears. Feel that center space again. So a way to find that, if you're not really sure where it's located, think of the cross lines of the body. You have these four corners, your right hip to your left shoulder, your left hip to your right shoulder. As you make those lines, imaginary lines across the body, find the point where those lines intersect. So if you have those 4 points, you have this fifth point in the middle, which is the space of really embodying yourself, your solar plexus, your personal will, and then turning your toes to face out about 45 degrees, still finding that balance between drawing into that center space and reaching out from it. Lower your left leg any amount, but you don't really need to go any further than about a quarter of the way down. Keep reaching, plugging in at the same time. Connect down through your right hip. And then lift your leg back up to the middle. Re-bend your knee, cross your leg over your body to twist, gazing over your left shoulder. And come onto your back, bend both of your knees again. Draw your right knee back into your chest. This time take your right knee towards your underarm. Reach up and see if you can catch a hold of the outer foot, the heel, or you might take the back of the thigh instead. And then plugging your knee into your arm as you can kick up through your foot, noticing how your tail wants to curl up. See if you can draw your tail down. Pull back a little with that left heel so you engage the back of the left leg. And so your right ankle on top of your left thigh, bring your arms into a cactus position. Press down through the back of your arms, lightly through the back of the head, and then push your left foot into the floor to lift your hips. Right ankle connects to the left thigh. Left heel pulls back towards your body. And then from your left hip, draw an imaginary line, reach out through your right knee. And then from your right hip, reach out through your left knee. Stick your tail down, pulling your heel back toward your body as you slowly lower your hips to the floor. Pivot your pelvis so that the legs drop to the left. Sole of the right foot will come down, look over your right shoulder. You can extend that arm, and just rest your left hand on your right side ribs. Soften your gaze. Take your breath into your right hand. And then release your hand away. Pivot your pelvis. Keep the position of the legs, draw your legs towards your body. If you can do this without using the arms, try and just work through the effort of the low body. Find that neutral position of your pelvis as best as you can, so there's not too much pressure in the low back, there's not too much space. And then continue to lightly press your ankle against your leg. At the same time, try and pull your left knee in. Flex your right ankle to stabilize your knee joint. You can stay there. You might extend your left leg out. and then rebend your knee and set your foot to the floor. Take a pause. Feel your feet on the ground. Start to notice the new sensation, different sensation in the hips, the belly, any rise of temperature. Draw your left knee in. Pull your left knee over towards your left shoulder, about a 90-degree bend in the knee as best as you can. Reaching up, taking the heel, the ankle, the back of the thigh, whatever you can get to. And then feeling these 3 points of action here. So the knee draws down. At the same time, the heel kicks up. At the same time, the sitting bone draws down. Find your right foot on the floor, pull it back. And just see how that shifts things. Take your left ankle onto your right thigh. Drop your arms back into that cactus position so you take some of the effort of the upper body out. And then press down with your right foot to lift your hips. Feel your right foot on the floor. Try and pull your heel back towards your body. Press your left ankle against your right leg. And then feel those cross lines from your right sitting bone reach out through the left knee. From your left sitting bone reach out through the right knee. Rest your hips to the floor. So not rolling down this time, but setting the hips down. Pivot the pelvis over to the right. Gaze over your left. Rest your right hand on your left side ribs. And taking your breath into your hand, soften your eyes. Slowly release your right hand. Pivot your hips again. Keep your arms out of it as best as you're able. Start to pull your right knee into your chest. And then create that resistance. Press your left ankle against your right leg, almost like you want to move the legs away from you. Counter that by pulling the right knee in. Draw your sitting bones, your tailbone down. Find space and lightness in your low back. And then release the legs, set your feet to the floor. Bring your knees over your hips. Take your hands to the back of your legs again. Extend and bend your knees. Re-bend your knees, bring your inner feet together this time and draw your knees wide towards your shoulders. So notice the deeper you come into this, you're going to start to curl up and bring a lot of weight into your low back. As best as you're able, maintain that neutral pelvis. You'll come in and out of it, that's okay, but feeling for maintaining it as best as you can. Start to press your inner mounds of your big toes, ball of the foot, inner heel, and keep that action of pressing the feet into each other. And that might in itself feel like it's a lot of activity. From there, you're going to bring your arms inside of your legs. You can take a hold of your ankles. Start to press your knees open. Feel that push of the feet into each other. If you're able to, you might bring your arms in front of your shins. And so if you're familiar with crow pose, you're basically in that shape upside down. If this is too much pressure on your low back, come out of it a little bit. But if you're here, pull your tail back down, press your shins into your arms, press your arms into your shins. And then start to stretch your wrists, pull your fingertips back, and imagine that the ceiling or the floor now. So you're finding all of that alignment in the body, all of the places of stability in the body without having to fight against gravity. Feel your feet pressing into each other, squeeze your heels towards your butt, draw your tailbone down, and then release. Take your hands to the back of your legs again, extend your legs up. Grab a hold of opposite elbows, bring your arms to frame around your head. Feel that space in your low back again. And so you can imagine yourself sitting on the ground here. Draw your tailbone back, stretch your elbows away from your hips. Take a deep breath in, exhale out, switch the cross of your forearms. Bring your forearms back down to the ground, open your throat a little, and then release. Draw your knees into your chest. And begin to rock up and down your back. Rock yourself up into Navasana boat pose. Hands can either come to the back of the legs, you can rest your fingertips to the floor, or you might play with extending your arms out. Wherever you are, feel for rocking towards the front of your sitting bones, and you might feel that as your feet wanting to drop towards the ground. And so if that is something that happens, let it happen. Just feel that shift forward. And then once you're there, start to play with lifting the legs again. As your knees draw in, think of kicking your feet out, pushing down through your sitting bones, take your gaze out. And just noticing if you start to collapse back, keep trying to bring yourself forward into that neutral pelvis. Take a breath into the sides of your body. Exhale, draw your navel in and up. And release your feet to the floor, hands to the ground behind you, fingertips towards your heels. Bend your elbows, kind of sink back into your hands. And then press down through your hands to lift your chest. Try and press your hands apart. Press down through your feet to lift your hips. Coming into an upward facing tabletop, shift your weight forward and back. Find the middle space where you feel pretty balanced between the fronts and the backs of the feet, pretty balanced between the knuckles and the heels of the hands. Draw your heels towards your fingertips. Pull your fingertips towards your heels. Extend back through your crown if that feels okay for your neck. Otherwise, keep your chin into your chest. And take another big breath in. And then exhale, sit yourself down. Just shift forward, come on to your feet into Malasana. If your heels are off of the ground, you can take that blanket and slide it underneath your heels. Give yourself a little bit of lift, or you can roll your mat up if you don't have a blanket available. You can also sit on a block or a stack of blocks. Bring your arms inside of your knees, very similar to the shape we were playing with on our back. Feel that resistance. So arms press out into the legs. Legs press back into the arms. Go in equal measure there. You're not trying to close the knees. You're not trying to split them open, right? Just finding that balance point of stability and resistance. Bring your palms together. Soften your eyes closed. Drop the weight of your seat. Lift your crown. Take a deep breath in. Exhale out through your mouth. Drop right fingertips to the floor. Keep the press of your arm into your leg. Extend out through your left arm. Take your gaze up towards your left hand. Maybe catch a glimpse of your pinky with your right eye. And then wrap your arm around your back, just setting your hand to your low back. Drop your chin over towards your right shoulder. Some of you might even take your hand around to clasp onto the right hip. Slowly release, bring yourself back to the middle. Left arm will come inside of the left leg. Fingertips to the floor, extend your right arm. Feel that resistance of pressing your arm back into your leg, and then leg pressing back into the arm to turn you. Catch a glimpse of your right pinky with your left eye. And then bending the elbow, set your hand to your low back. Maybe sliding your hand around to the leg, drop your ear towards your shoulder. And then slowly release. Hands to the floor, feet parallel. You're going to measure out hips distance with the two fists right in between the arches of the feet, and then extend your legs to fold. And you might find that you want to extend and bend a few times here. Hands are either going to come onto the floor or you can grab at your blocks. Bend your knees enough to rest your upper body on your lower body and then extend your arms out. Think the upper body is sort of like in a downward dog shape, but the lower body is in the standing forward fold. So sitting bones are back right over the heels, knees moving slightly forward just to break up the lock in the back of the knees. Take your gaze out and then imagine yourself on a clock. 12 o'clock is in front of you. Your knees will continue to point to 12. Your upper body is going to look over towards 2. Find your left foot again, reconnect into it. Find your left sitting bone, draw it back. And as you listen to all of these cues, rather than going for perfection or as if this were like, I don't know, a twister game, use this as an opportunity just to be embodied again. Take your mind into that space as best as you can. Notice if it's easy for your mind to go there, if you have to make a little effort, come over to 10 o'clock. Right foot connects down, right sitting bone draws back, look out. And then bring yourself back to the middle, fold into yourself. Drop the weight of your head, shake it out. Flutter your lips. And roll yourself up to stand.